What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. The quarterfinals of the Monte Carlo Masters have just wrapped up. We got some semifinals to talk about. Let's get started. And our first semifinal will be between Carlos Alcaraz and Valentin Vacherot. Let's talk quickly about Alcaraz's quarterfinal match against Bublik. I mean, extremely impressive showing, and honestly, guys, I didn't even feel like Alcaraz played that well in that match. I thought he played very smart, and the one thing that I really liked, well, first set he goes up a break, and Bublik's able to break back, and you think, wow, like maybe this is going to be a competitive match, maybe like a little bit of nerves, Bublik trying to figure out how Alcaraz plays. We talked about these guys had never met before, gets it back to 2-all. And the one thing that I love seeing from Carlos was his ability to use the drop shot. I felt like today he used the drop shot more than I've ever seen before. Just and I think a lot of that has to do with the recognition that that's Bublik's style of play. So Carlos was just taking that shot away from him. Like, well, I'm not gonna let you drop shot me. I'm gonna drop shot you first. And Carlos's drop shot is very good. So that was an extremely effective play from Alcaraz today. Just being able to take that shot away from Bublik where he wasn't able to use it as much. We saw Bublik even trying to redrop. He missed a few shots there. But we know Bublik loves to just drop shot and then pass you, kind of on his own terms. He likes to play it on his own terms. He doesn't like to, have to come in and redrop off of a drop. So really, really nice play from Carlos there. They get to 3-all, and it's a pretty. It feels like a pretty competitive match. Bublik's really cracking his forehand at Carlos, but it was really impressive. That all these shots that we're used to seeing kind of Bublik have success with, they were all coming back today. Like, how many times do we see Bublik being able to kind of like wrong foot a guy on the clay? If with his like, oh, I'm gonna drop shot you. Oh no, I'm actually gonna chip it deep now. And you always see the person like slip a little bit. Carl didn't fall for any of that. His footwork is just too good on this surface. He moves too well on this surface. I was so impressed. Like all the Bublik kind of like tricks that they just didn't work on Carlos. So great playing from him. The other thing that I loved, and I'm sure you guys could hear it, the sportsmanship between these two guys was unreal. How many times did we hear them say, hey, good shot, or wow, that's a good one, or ah, you got me. Like, Bublik was smiling a lot of the time at some of these shots that Alcaraz was able to come up with. I love that. I love seeing that. These guys, one, they're having fun out there. Two, they're appreciating each other. That's great stuff to see. So Carlos Alcaraz advances 6-3, 6-0 over Alexander Bublik. And one more thing that I want to bring up, I always look at this was their first matchup, right? And honestly, Bublik, a very, very strong clay quarter. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys met again, whether it's going to be in the French or maybe in Rome or Madrid. We don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if they played again this year. And I'm kind of curious if it's going to be different, if the score is going to be different. Because in my opinion, from what I saw, I don't know if I see how Bublik can really win a match against Alcaraz. Maybe if he's clicking from the serve, like if the serve is on and he's hitting the forehand, he's able to back that up with the drop. Maybe he can push Alcaraz to like a couple of breakers where, like the breakers are 50-50 if they get there. But I feel like every time they're going to meet, I feel like it's going to be a straight set affair. Maybe in the French he's going to be able to get a set with the 3 out of 5 format. But I really do feel like Carlos is going to dominate this head-to-head most of the time here against Bublik. So definitely look out for that. I'm always on the lookout, looking to the future to see how these guys are going to look if they play again, just for us to be prepared, at least for me to kind of have like a storyline in my head before letting my eyes kind of deceive me in the tournament, And in my opinion, I think this is going to be a straight setter for Carlos, no matter what, no matter where they are, if it's Real Madrid or the French Open. I think it would be Carlos in straights over Bublik. The next quarterfinal was Vacherot taking out DeMinaur 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. And I mean, this was nothing short of incredible. Guys, I was so impressed with this because at the end of the second set, it felt like DeMinaur had kind of like wrestled the momentum away from Vacherot. The crowd was a little bit out of it. DeMinaur, I felt like, was playing more offensively, and Vacherot didn't look like his body was going to be able to make it. And then he wins the third set. He plays incredible tennis in the third set. Looking to come in. I thought that was one of the good things I love with Vacherot, and we saw this in the first match. In the Cerundolo match, he was able to really push with his forehand and be aggressive with his forehand. His forehand not really doing much damage to DeMinaur, but allowing him to come in behind that shot. He found a lot of success with that. Following up the big forehand with a volley closing in behind DeMinaur. I thought that was extremely effective. He's got a pretty solid net game. So that definitely helped because you want to take it to Alex DeMinaur. You don't want to sit back and kind of, play this like aggressive tennis. We talk about like DeMinaur. That's exactly what Blocks did. Blocks has got more firepower. Blocks moves pretty well. But just like playing that baseline rally against DeMinaur, he's going to chew you up. So Vacherot were able to kind of get into net, play a little bit more offensively, rush DeMinaur a little bit more. And maybe, honestly, guys, maybe part of it was he's a little bit fatigued, so he wants to keep the points a little bit shorter. Maybe that helped. Now let's talk about this Alcaraz Vacherot semifinal. No head-to-head here from these guys. We got Alcaraz coming in at 3-0. He's only played these 3 matches on the clay. He was 22-1 last year with the one loss coming to Auger-Aliassime in Barcelona. 2024, he's 17-4. I mean, we know this guy is a monster on the clay, and it's going to take a monster effort to beat him. Vacherot, on the other hand, 4-0 on the clay this year. Those are the 4 wins in Monte Carlo. 24-12 last year, 15-9 the year before. We talked about how he had success on the lower tour levels on the clay. Was he going to be able to translate that over to the highest level of the tour? And the answer is yes, so far, that he's been able to do that. So very impressive stuff from Vacherot. I do have a little bit of a concern with the time on court here. We got Alcaraz, 4 hours, 35 minutes. Not too bad for him. We got Vacherot, 9 hours and 50 minutes, including that 2.5-hour match against DeMinaur. This guy's been surviving and advancing every single round. And, obviously, huge part of that is the crowd behind him. I think that really does help you, especially when you feel like you can't go any further. The crowd's willing you to just push and push and push, and it gets him through a big match like that against DeMinaur. Is he going to be able to summon the same magic against Alcaraz? I don't know. I think we got to watch the first 3, 4, 5 games and see how Vacherot is. And honestly, guys, I really think Alcaraz, when he gets out there, he's going to do the same exact thing. He's going to test Vacherot, watch for the drop shots, watch for some of the angles that Alcaraz can do with the forehand. He's going to test that movement immediately from Vacherot because he's going to want to see, can this guy keep up in this match? Is his body fully recovered? Now, obviously, these guys are like superhuman almost. Like they recover so fast. How many last week in Marrakesh and Bucharest we had Trungiality and Merida both going on 10 plus hours and being able to make the finals and play pretty. Both of them played very competitive finals. So it's possible. It's definitely possible that Vacherot can recover and push Alcaraz. But for me, I just think you want to have you don't want to be like, I don't want to say limping in, but you want to be a little bit fresher than 10 hours on court coming into a match against the world number one, the best clay quarter on the tour, arguably the best clay quarter on the tour. Sinner's coming up here. And one thing that I love, guys, I don't did you hear the interview that Alcaraz had? It was the encore interview, and they asked him about the world number one. And he basically said, well, I'm gonna lose world number one anyways. Like I think that's such a he's just focusing on the matches. The rankings, the results, those will all come as long as you do the right thing. The results will come, and I love that. I love his attitude on that. That he was just like, well, I'm probably gonna lose world number one, but I'm just gonna focus right now on the matches, on how I'm playing. I love that. I loved that response. I thought that was great. Like this isn't. It's not weighing him down. Like that when he gets to this final against Sinner, he's gonna play freely. He's not gonna be like, oh God, I might lose my world number one ranking. That's not on his mind. Love that. For me, guys, I gotta go with Alcaraz here. I mean, how could I not? And you guys know I'm rooting for a Sin Caraz final. I want to see it. We've been waiting. What are we? It's April. It's April 10th. We've been waiting all year for this. Are we gonna get it here in Monte Carlo? How many times have I said we're one win away for each of these guys from getting it? I think we're gonna get it on Sunday. Can't wait for it. I think Alcaraz is going to win here. Something tells me one of these sets is going to be very competitive, and the other one might be a little bit more of a steamroll. So give me Alcaraz in straight sets to advance to the final. And our second semifinal match is between Yannick Sinner and Alexander Zverev. We'll talk about that matchup in a second. Let's take a look at those quarterfinals that happened. We had Sinner taking out Felix Auger-Aliassime, and that match was, I thought the rallies were really good. And honestly, we didn't expect Felix to win this match, and he played a lot better than I thought. I thought he was hitting the ball very clean. A few too many unforced errors. A double fault to give Sinner the break in the first set. You can't commit those types of errors when you're playing the number two player, the second best player on the clay, maybe the best player on the clay, up for debate. But you can't commit those errors and give him that many free points. He's going to take advantage of that. But I think one thing that I kind of noticed, that we gotta look at this and kind of see how it affects Zverev and how it'll affect Carlos if they play, is it doesn't look like Sinner's ball is as penetrating here on the clay, maybe as it was last year, even like obviously on the hard court, way more penetrating. But it felt like Felix was able to kind of just stand back and rally. I thought Sinner did a great job taking advantage of the drop shot. We saw him use that multiple times against Felix and just catch him off guard, getting a winner. Like most of the time, Felix wasn't even able to get to the ball. So Felix was camped out deep, but he was still able to kind of engage in some of these longer rallies and look for his forehand to open up the court. So I gotta give Felix some credit. I think he's playing decent clay court tennis. We don't tag him as a clay quarter per se, but maybe this year he's going to be able to turn some things around. So I thought he looked pretty good here, especially against Sinner. This is a guy that made to the finals of the France, that has had a pretty good showing on the clay the last few years. And for Felix to just go one break each set, that's pretty solid for me. At least a good start to the season for him. Sinner's able to win that match 6-3, 6-4. He takes on Alexander Zverev. And Zverev had a much trickier match against João Fonseca. First set, guys, I mean, how much better did Zverev look in the first set? I was like, this is the same guy that was playing Zizou Bergs and Christian Garin 2 or 3 days ago. Very, very impressed. He was taking the offense, and that was something that I was curious if we were going to see that, or was he just going to try to out-rally Fonseca? I don't think that works because Fonseca's got those huge shots that he can pull out at any time. But Zverev was just looking for his shots. There are a lot of down the line balls we saw him hit past Fonseca. I was very impressed with how he looked in the first set. The one change that I saw from Fonseca in the second set, he went down a break in the second set. It felt like it was all Zverev. And the one change that I saw, Fonseca just started to kind of chip the forehand side of the return back into play just to give himself some more opportunities and more looks at making Zverev play out the point. And what did we talk about when we were in Miami and Indian Wells? Zverev likes the serve +1, some of those quicker points. But if you force him to play some of these longer points, it's a little bit harder for him. And we always know the Zverev nerves are always going to be there. You know, some of the tighter shots there towards the end of the second set, he gets broken back. Fonseca's able to win that set in a breaker. He has all the momentum, and it just kind of felt like Fonseca was going to be able to break through and do it, but Zverev just too strong. He started to see that Fonseca was chipping some of those returns, so he played more aggressive off that chip ball. How many times did we see him just kind of like step in and hit a big shot or go for a drop shot, start to create points a little bit earlier there, and that kind of bothered Fonseca. Fonseca changed up the return, which I don't know if I would have done that, because like then you start to miss a little bit more. But Fonseca looked great on his serve too. And look, did you guys see how far back Zverev was standing to return the ball? And that's more obviously respecting the Fonseca serve, but also respecting the Fonseca serve +1. I think that was the reason he's so far back, just to try to give himself some time and looking for the ball there, because that +1 is so lethal with the Fonseca forehand. Zverev did a good job getting a lot of those balls back and making Fonseca play a lot more points off some of those shots. And I thought it was great because, like, you know, obviously Fonseca able to get through a couple of trickier matches, but now he goes up against one of the best, and he sees a lot of his shots coming back. He's got to play a little bit cleaner, and I think he's right there, guys. You know, this has been a great month for João Fonseca, just being able to advance to the quarterfinals, but also just pushing. Now his 3 losses in these last 3 Masters series have been to the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 guys. So we'll see how he does in his next tournament appearance. I'll be very curious. I think he's only going to get better. And I still feel like there were some points that he kind of like tried to pull the trigger a little bit too soon. So I still feel like there's a lot of improvement that we can see from Fonseca, and that's kind of scary. I think he has the ability to be up there with these top guys. I mean, he showed it today. He's toe-to-toe with Zverev. You know, I don't know. We'll see. It's all about consistency and results. You know, he's got to be able to get those results. Let's take a look at this matchup here, guys. Honestly, we get it. We get it every single Master Series. We've had it the last 2, 3. Indian Wells, Miami, Turin, Paris. We've had the last 4 Master Series, guys. Unreal stuff here, getting these two playing. And we talked about how Sinner is on a 7-match winning streak. He has won 2, 4, 6, 8 straight sets. 13 of the last 14 sets against Zverev. Can Zverev get a set today or going into tomorrow in the semifinals? That's a big ask, I think. Now, on the clay, guys, they're 1-1. Zverev having a nice win in 2022 in Monte Carlo, 5-7, 6-3, 7-6 in the quarterfinals. Sinner having a win over the number 6 seeded Zverev in 2020 in the French Open fourth round, 6-3, 6-3, 4-6, 6-3. Their last two meetings, obviously going Sinner's way. Miami 6-3, 7-6, Indian Wells 6-2, 6-4. The Miami meeting a lot closer and some opportunities for Zverev to win that set. Just wasn't able to kind of break through, and then we had like kind of like a very nervy breaker from him. Zverev with 7 hours and 21 minutes on court. Sinner with 4 hours and 37 minutes. I don't think that matters really. I just think Zverev's a tank. He's gonna be okay. He's as fit as can be. I don't think that's gonna really bother him too much. Zverev coming in here with a 3-set win over Garin, a straight set win over Bergs, and then a 3-set win over Fonseca. Sinner coming in with a straight set win over Humbert, a 3-set win over Mahach, and a straight set win over Auger-Aliassime. Sinner was 11-2 last year, 11-2 the year before. Lots of consistency on the clay. 3-0 this year with those 3 Monte Carlo wins. Zverev also 3-0 with the 3 Monte Carlo wins, 18-7 last year, 23-6 the year before. He does tend to play a little bit better maybe on the clay. But the one thing and the one factor that I keep thinking about is just playing out those longer points, and the clay's going to neutralize that serve more. I feel like I like Zverev more so in a faster surface where he can play the serve +1, use his serve to kind of keep Sinner off balance. I mean, we saw in Vienna in the finals, that's an indoor court, faster courts, and Zverev able to get the first set there. I just think that Sinner's going to have a lot of looks here at the return. I'm curious to see kind of how the rallies go because I do think Zverev's going to be able to be in them a little bit longer. We haven't seen Sinner's balls very penetrating just yet. He obviously, when he opens up the court, yes, he can pummel a forehand. But like when they're going up the middle, I haven't really seen these guys get pushed back so much from. I felt like Mahach was able to hang in there with the rally ball. Today, Felix was able to hang in there with the rally ball. So I'm really curious to see kind of how Zverev does there. And it's all going to come down, Zverev's not going to win 2-2 or 3-3. It's going to come down to, is he going to be able to hold his nerve? On the serve, is he going to be able to hold his nerve and maybe a breaker? And for me, that's where I get a little bit iffy. That's where I kind of doubt him a little bit, just because these other guys are just a lot tougher. They've won slams. They've been in these tricky situations. So that makes it tough. It makes it tough for me to pick him. I'm going to go Sinner, obviously, because, guys, I want the Sinner-Alcaraz final. That Sin-Caraz final, it's in my head. I'm willing it to happen. I want to see it on Sunday. Hopefully we get it here. I always have a bad feeling. I always get this bad feeling about, like we're hoping for it, and I'm like, something's going to go wrong. But I would be thrilled. If Zverev gets this win, I would be thrilled. Because that, to me, is a great start to his clay season. Whether he wins the final or not, for him to take out Sinner, it would be amazing. And hopefully that builds his confidence going into Rome and Madrid and the French Open and Munich next week. But I got to go with Sinner. 8 straight sets. and he's on a slower surface now, I gotta go with Sinner. I think he's gonna win in straights and advance to the finals. I think it's gonna be a straight set for both of these semifinals. So give me Sinner in straights. And here's a look at our quarterfinal records. Not really a great day for me. I mean, picking Sinner and Alcaraz to win are my only two wins. Gotta give a shout out though to the Pamplemousse tennis picks. Unreal, 3 in 1 day, including all the three that Pamplemousse got right, were all called Alcaraz in straights, Sinner in straights, Vacherot in three. Really impressive stuff. Pamplemousse also went 7-1 in the round of 16 picks. So doing good stuff there, Pamplemousse. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We will have a preview of the final once the semifinals are concluded. We will also have a draw reaction video for the Barcelona Open and the Munich Open. So look out for those to keep up on everything tennis. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.